All right, guys, welcome to the fourth episode of Chief Concerns, the very first true Kansas City Chiefs debate-style show with former players debating the current team. We're here with our host, former tight end Jason Dunn, and cornerback Eric Warfield. Guys, Raiders week, baby. How you guys feeling?
Raiders week. I've been amped up, man, all week. Amped up like I'm ready to play. I don't know. What about you, E?
You know what? I used to hate Raiders week for the simple fact that it was always so dark around the stadium. It's like it affected the people that were working in the front offices. Like she's printing out tickets and she's pissed off with this Raiders week, you know? So it's like it affects everybody, man.
Now, when was the first time you guys really realized that like Raiders week was such a big deal? Like, did you guys know? I mean, obviously you guys are fans, but did you guys know about the rivalry the Raiders and Chiefs had up until you guys got to the organization?
So I was there before Jason, and so like I was there around Hasty and Carter and Derek Thompson, those guys. And so like when it came to Raiders week, you know, there were certain little, you know, you kind of joked around and did little things at practice, after practice, during the meetings, and all of a sudden it gets to Raider week, and it's like, you know, one of the young guys try to cut a joke, and all of a sudden you hear one of the vets be like, it ain't that time right now. This is Raider week. We lock in for this here. This is rival. You know, this is one that we need this win for the purpose of it being a conference game. 2, it's like a family member. So you always want to win that upper battle or those arguments with that family member. And that was that family member that we had because we always had to see them twice a year. Right. You know, we have other teams in the conference that we're going to see twice a year, but they didn't bring as much. What am I trying to say? As much animosity, as much fuel for the fire. Like they didn't bring that much as the Raiders brought, and especially the way that Al Davis kind of conducted it during his time. So I was a part of that whole when Al Davis was around. So it was pretty bitter around the stadiums and around the game during that time.
Hey, Jason, how did this compare? You know, being in the D.C. area my whole life, I'd always argue Chiefs-Raiders bigger rivalry than Eagles-Redskins or Eagles-Cowboys or Eagles-Giants. How did this compare to the NFC East rivalries that you had?
Yeah, so that was the thing. I didn't really truly know the history of it, but I would say it's probably on par with Philly and Dallas, no doubt about it. You know, of course, the Redskins. And during that time, when I first got there to Philly, like 96, you know, we're talking about the Cowboys were the one that was, you know, the heyday of Aikman and, you know, Emmett and all those guys. So, you know, I understood that respect of, you know, the rivalry. And then when I got to Kansas City, you know, you just not quite used to it. Then when I got out there, and then of course they kept talking about the Raiders, and then, you know, this is what it means to us, and you know, they did us dirty. And you start hearing the history, like, man, what? Like, did that really happen? And so, like E said, you know, everybody's walking around pissed off, and you know, I didn't quite understand why everybody's pissed off right now. You know, the guy at the lunch counters throwing your food in the harder, you know. I'm like, hey man, like, yo, man, calm down. He's like, no, man, it's Raiders week. You need to toughen up, you know. So it was really glaring, you know, to kind of get the history of it. And I got there in 2000, so I had, you know, Gunther Cunningham. So Gunther just couldn't stand the Raiders, couldn't stand them. And I remember him just getting into meetings and he would just talk about it. And so I thought, you know, maybe it was just Gunther. And then, of course, we had when Coach Emil got there, then Al Saunders, the offense coordinator, who used to coach out with the Raiders, he had a whole different, you know, tune to it about why he disliked them. And then Mike White, what we used to call old balls, you know, old Mike used to be a Raiders guy for forever with Al Davis.
Yeah.
So it was almost like you don't quite understand how bad, I always reference these, you know, like relationships. You don't understand how bad your girlfriend was until after you break up with her. Like, man, she down here, she had what? You're like, what? Oh man, okay, yeah, I hate her too. I know why I hate her. That's the reason. So yeah, but that was really comparable to what, you know, I was seeing the, you know, NFC East with Dallas, and of course, like you said, the Redskins too.
Right, and I think like over the last 20 years or so, that the Raiders really haven't been relevant since 2002 when Gannon led them to the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers. So I guess we've had 2 decades of really the Raiders-Chiefs rivalry really not meaning the same as it has been. And we get into a Chiefs concern number 1. It's this week. It's been kind of the most controversial Raiders-Chiefs week that we've had in a really long time, with reports that the Raiders took victory laps after the Raiders beat the Chiefs 40-32 in week 5. Okay, how big of a deal is this? Is this overblown, or is this like disrespectful? I mean, kind of get into that one. As a fan, it's like everyone's like, oh man, how can they do that? But as a player, how big of a deal is this?
With the stuff with the bus, like that. I mean, it's
yeah.
I think they were living in the moment. We weren't. I mean, I'm not there, a part of the team to feel the effects of how they felt. I mean, as a spectator at this point, yeah, you feel some type of disrespect, but there's nothing we can do as a spectator fan right now.
Right.
So you would think that there's that same sense of disrespect with the current players, that they think that they can go out and be disrespectful that way. So, I mean, heck, you take your hat off to the Raiders for having a good game plan and for getting a victory. But at the end of the day, me, in my opinion, I know the better team just wasn't prepared that day.
And see, I tell you what, man. To me, that is a completely huge disrespect. Huge disrespect. And the thing is, because I know Chucky. I used to. John Gruden used to be my offensive coordinator up there in Philadelphia, so I know how his mindset goes. And when I seen his press conference kind of address the issue, I was like, oh yeah, he knew what he was doing. Talking about the bus driver. No, man, it's rubbing it in your face. I mean, that's almost equivalent to almost when the guys score a touchdown in Dallas, and then he try to run to the star and they just, put their little. I mean, that's completely disrespectful. And also too, like when you think about like that whole Dave Chappelle, when Rick James coming in, just putting his feet on your couch.
Your couch.
Yeah. and that's what it is, man. They knew exactly what they were doing. The problem is they didn't think they was going to get caught. That was the thing about it. They thought they was going to relish in the moment, carry it on into this week too. It's like, look, we drove the buses around their stadium. No telling what they was doing, man. I just know, man, it's just that Raider. That's what it is, man. It's just that feel in the air, man. He's got a little nastiness to him. So I think they just keep that reputation going. So, yeah, man, it's disrespectful. Disrespectful.
Right. As a player, I mean, we've seen the Chief players been asked about this week. Kelsey was asked about it. Mahomes was asked about it. CEH was asked about it. Everyone's kind of downplaying it, saying, we wouldn't do that, but, they won that game. So, they have a right to do that, but we wouldn't do that. I mean, is that just something, and like one of the reporters was saying at Andy Reid's press conference, they said it was probably the most shit-talkingest press conference you'll ever see from Andy Reid, because even questions he wasn't even asked about the victory laps, he would bring it up when it had nothing to do with the victory laps. Do you see like this kind of thing being bulletin board material where, if we have a chance to run up the score, we will run up the score this weekend? Is this the kind of game that you would do that?
Oh, I would. Like no doubt. And I'm going to sit there and tell the players, I'll show them before we do our little highlight tape of because I know we always had a highlight tape before the game, before we left the hotel. Something to kind of get you motivated, get your blood boiling. I would show that. I show all these little mistakes that we made in this game, show some highlights of who we are, and then I show the disrespect of who the Raiders are and why we hate them so much. And I want you to see, this is why we're gonna, whatever this projection of the score of these guys in Vegas have us, we're gonna double or triple that if we can. And I honestly, after the game, I wouldn't even go shake hands and just walk off the field.
With COVID, I mean, you got a legit excuse there of not shaking hands. You can just say blame it on COVID.
Yeah, you know what? I think, and I know John and Andy go back a long ways, but I know there's grumblings down there saying, look, you know what? Hey, we're going to downplay this, but here in this locker room, we're going to give them every bit of the business. Every chance we get, we're going to score on them and just kind of rubbing in their face. We just go back to the huddle, score a touchdown, defense go out there, get a turnover, but we make sure every chance we get, every opportunity, we are trying to put them into the ground.
So, it kind of, not to cut you off, Jada, and it sucks for guys on the defense for the simple fact that, God, I hate to go back and get back to this whole Greg Williams and you know what, the bounty.
Bounty hunter, yeah.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
But we were always, looking to catch somebody slipping. If they always say keep your head on the swivel. You can't do that now. You can't just go out and blow somebody up and have a big tackle. You can't go out and with expectations of a big hit to try to put somebody out the game. That's an ejection nowadays. So as much as you like to, just built off anger alone or disrespect alone to go out there and give this big hit, you can't, because this right now you got your concern now is the team and you being out on that field. And if you go out there and just because you're angry and you go out there and try to lay somebody out or put them out the game and you get removed from the game, then that's hurting the team. So on the defense side, it sucks. So for us, we just have to be well prepared for anything to come. Offensively, that's where Jason and those guys is like, hey, we're dropping bombs 24/7. From the time we kick off until the time that clock hits zero, we're dropping bombs.
It was always like that in offensive meetings. It was never give no quarter to the defense, to the Raiders. I don't care where we play. It was always, look, we're going to dominate this game. Every chance we get, every opportunity, we're going to score. We're going to run the football. We're going to run the football. We're going to throw the football. We're going to run this score up. And so we know it's going to be motivation. This is part of it. And I can't really tell you the last time, and maybe you know this because I didn't really check. When was the last time that the Raiders have beat the Chiefs twice in 1 year? In our year, when I was playing, it was always like either a split or we was always winning, the two games.
Yeah.
So that's going to be motivation for the Raiders too, to say, hey, when's the last time we beat Kansas City, especially a team like this, twice in a row. So it's huge.
Yeah, it was 2010, I believe, or 2011 or 2010. Tom Cable's Raiders, they went 8-8. They went undefeated in the division and didn't make the playoffs. It's only happened 4 times in NFL history.
Wow. Yeah.
That was the last time. But the thing that I read this week, just learning more about the Andy Reid and John Gruden, how far they go back. Back in the Mike Holmgren days with Green Bay, apparently there was always a kind of a competition between the two of who would actually get a play called in during the game. They would kind of compete to get their plays called during the game. So they said they're friendly. I mean, they're friends, but the few they would have on the field as far as trying to get plays called. I mean, it goes way back between the two. So, and it's also just cool to see, the renewed rivalry. Raiders haven't been relevant in the last 2 decades. So, now they are, becoming relevant again. With 6-3 right now. It's just fun. It's fun to see that rivalry again. So, making it mean something.
Oh, and they on top of that, they got a well-balanced offense. I think Jacobs is a really good running back. He's a power nose. He likes to get downhill. And that opens up their passing game. And, Ruggs and Renfro and I forget the tight end's name, but he's been playing really well. They got some guys that can make plays in the secondary. And so it's just a matter of, like I said, us playing discipline and making plays. Because right now, their offense has been playing really well. Overall, team has done pretty decent. And right now they have the upper hand on us because they do have a victory. So, yeah, we do need this by all means.
Yeah, and kind of, going to that rival, I know I had John, like I said, for 2 years as my offensive coordinator. Then I had Andy my last year in Philly, his first year. See, these guys was kind of like the new gurus. How you see like Sean McVay and those guys that coming in, becoming head coaches. And, Gruden came in at 32 years old. He was just like the prodigy, right? The genius, kid genius at a certain time, man. So I think he ended up becoming like the youngest NFL football coach at one time when he took over. But I know it's going to be a competition, and look, you might have some niceties going on, but right there, back and forth, man, it's just competition. It's just good competition. So I know Andy wants to win this one over John, and John wants to do the same with Andy. Like you said, it goes back that far. But man, in the division, we're talking about a game right here just setting you up, right?
Yeah.
For the division, man. This is even the more significance of it because now all of a sudden they're sitting there saying, well, look, we done won our last 3 games. Shoot, we done beat Kansas City the first game that we had. We got them now. We are in the most advantageous position that we could possibly be in right now as a team to overtake the division if they just keep it going from right here, right now, right? So that's the way they're looking at it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and kind of to that point, the next concern. So based on what you guys saw during that 40-32 loss in Week 5, what are some things that you guys hope that we clean up that you saw in that game, but you hope we clean up this time around?
I mean, I think the offensive line has to play better. I think we have to start making, as we've been doing the last couple of weeks, making some shorter throws so we're not sitting there having to hold the ball for so long, looking for the deep throw. Because like I said, when they're just rushing forward and dropping everybody else in the coverage, that makes it hard to complete those deep throws. So for me, just better offensive play, protection from the offensive line, and add in some short throws to try to get 3 and 4 yards here and there. I mean, we know we got the best quarterback in the league, so we don't have to make sure he's throwing for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns every game, and get our running backs. I think it's a good game for Bell to get acclimated too, because of his size and his skill set. So a big game to get him involved more, especially what is his 3 weeks now he's been here. From KC. So yeah, he should know the playbook well enough to have more reps in this game.
I think CH, man, is going to have to take a back seat, man. I think this is really coming out. Like I said, when you have a big back like him, with his skill set, it's gonna be major against this defense. And like he said too, man, the offensive line they just got to do a much better job. They have to. They got to do a better job protecting him. They got to give Patrick some time to throw the football. And this too, we was just talking about, like, they was trying to keep everything in front of him, right?
But it was a 4-man rush too, though, JD. That's the worst part about when we played the Raiders. 4-man rush against the offensive line. They got to hold up.
You got to win that one. You got the numbers. There's no way you should lose a battle like that at all. And so then, like you said, you try to take away from the big play capability. But this is where, like I said, a back like Le'Veon, with his size and his speeds and his elusive talent, will come in and just rip a team like this up. So, the Raiders defense is, they okay, ho-hum, but, man, I just think that the offense has to play better. And I think right now, for what I'm seeing, defense has to play a better job too. You got to stop that run game. Carr hasn't really been that wow factor for the past 3 or 4 weeks. I actually picked him up 1 week when my Deshaun Watson was down on my fantasy. They killed me. I lost that week, so I just like, you know what? Put this dog on the back of the bus. So. But I think, man, it's going to be a good showing. I think it's going to be a good showing. So it's going to be key, especially out there. It's going to be a little bit different, man. We'll talk about some stories out there how it used to be back in at Black Hole E in Oakland. In Vegas, man. So at least they don't have that going against them, because they used to be a bad time out there in that Black Hole, man, out in Oakland, man. Seriously, terrible.
So you guys think with this game, I think last time, Hilaire only had like 10 carries, and a lot of people said we didn't run it enough last game. Do you guys think that, I guess, kind of establishing a run game this game will be more beneficial, or is just kind of, taking how the game goes, I guess?
It definitely helps. I mean, we were always, for the most part, if I remember correctly, our third downs were all 3rd and long. We didn't have like a 3rd and 3, 3rd and 5, something short that we could, probably easily gather. There's a couple of times where, Patrick was sacked, and it was always 3rd and long. So, and I don't want to just say that the offensive line was that bad, but we do need better play from them. And we got to have a better play out of our running game. So if our running game can't pick up 2 or 3 yards on a carry, then that definitely doesn't benefit us to have, I don't CH out there. And I hate to throw him out there like that, but that was his game that everybody complained that our running game is not where we need it to be. And that's all the talk of Le'Veon coming in was because of the Raiders game. And it was because Clyde didn't have a good game. He was not productive on any of his carries. And even in the running game, we couldn't get him situated. So a matter of having a veteran skilled back like Le'Veon, I think he's knowledgeable enough to know how to get in certain holes, how to whether he's lined up outside, and how he's always been that patient back. He doesn't hit a hole going full steam. Le'Veon is one of those tiptoe guys, but when he hits it because he knows how to find that hole. But so this could be his coming out game. Jason said Clyde's probably going to take a back seat, and I think so also, just because he didn't prove himself. But that also gives him momentum and motivation to go out and to prove himself for having such a bad game.
I mean, why would you bring a guy like that in? I mean, you done had your bye week, right? You already set it up. I mean, they're just not taking, guys for no reason. I mean, they're thinking long term on this too. So,
but still, you got a young guy like Clyde, man. You want him to be good, but when you can get somebody that's got years in, that's knowledgeable of the game, of course, because he can also teach Clyde like what he's not seeing, what he's not doing, that Le'Veon does well. So I'm sure that it's a mentoring program with those two.
No question. But I think sometimes, and we know this, when you come from college, you get into the league, you don't quite understand that wear and tear on your body. You know what I mean? You don't have the number of games that you usually are used to in college. And when you're talking about the playoffs and all those different things that you had to deal with, I mean, you're talking about bigger bodies, faster guys. Like Al Saunders used to say, man, you ain't going against a guy that's taking biochemistry right now as his course or is for the degree. Right. So these guys right here get paid, man. They getting paid big money to do things to you. And so Le'Veon knows that. He's taking the hits. But you get a guy like this in because look, 7-1. This second half, we know we're trying to make a push to repeat this thing. We want to repeat this year. So we bring a big guy like this in. Le'Veon, guess what? We brought you in for a reason. Okay. We ain't just bring you in just be one and done. And I man, you know what? When they brought what's the name of it in? Man, I can't think of his name. The one from Philly that used to be there.
McCoy.
But McCoy, yeah, when McCoy got there, man, he didn't step up when he needed to. But I think Le'Veon's going to be different, man. And like I said, he wanted to kind of rekindle his career. This is going to be it. This is the team for him. Like I said, you can't have a better opportunity than now to start your season or the run for the championship than against the Raiders this week, coming off your bye, right? Bring them out. Bring all the dogs out. Bring everybody you get to. Bring the water boy. Bring everybody out you need to for this game.
Yeah.
And with that, I mean, Schwartz is coming back. Fisher was out he was on that COVID list because I think he was close contact with someone. He'll be back. And then Sammy Watkins is coming back this week. So, I mean, it sounds we're bringing the cavalry with us to Las Vegas. So we'll be well equipped, I think, in that department this weekend. It'll be interesting to see what Le'Veon does after the bye week and just an extra week of preparation and, I guess, studying that playbook. Hopefully that pays off dividends for him. So next topic. This is kind of a big one. This is kind of a busy week for the Chiefs. We had the whole Raiders, what they call it, victory, the bus gate is what they're calling it right now, and then DeAndre Baker, Brett Veach was at it again. Coming the waiver wire, you got a chance to snag 2019 first-round pick DeAndre Baker, cornerback from Georgia. He was cut by the Giants because of legal troubles, but ultimately the charges were dropped, and the case against him was dismissed because it appears he was allegedly being extorted. But we're going to stick to football here and not get into the whole legal stuff. That's way beyond my brain. But what did you guys think of the signing of DeAndre Baker?
I mean, potentially it could be a good product for us, secondary-wise, even though our secondary is really young. But you never know how he's going to turn out. And to get him off of waiver, I don't think we're having to pay him very much money, so he can come in, practice squad for the moment, and see what he turns out to be. Right now, he doesn't have anything that's hindering him from the legal system side of it. So come in, learn as much as you can from these guys that we have, just in case, if he turns out to be a great corner or we can convert him to safety, then, that's a win for us.
I guess we're getting a surprise guest here.
Somebody knocking on the door?
Someone's knocking on the door. I'm surprised by this. I had no idea this person was coming on. This is great.
What up?
Oh,
Easy money. Oh, he all LSU down, man. Turn your microphone on.
Let me turn this thing. Let me get this thing right, man.
what's up, Speedster?
Man, what's up, JD? What's up, Ewar?
You got it, man.
Man,
Hey, look.
yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
you know, you talk about my LSU. Look, JD got his UK.
I
stuff
know.
behind
But you got the whole,
That's exactly what
you
I
got the
was
whole
going to,
wall up there.
the whole
That's
wall.
Eddie, welcome to the show, man. It's great to have you. We're a surprise guest here tonight. I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. How you guys doing this evening?
So far, so good. It's Raider week, EK.
We need to put the Raider symbols in the urinal like we used to in the bathroom.
Tell me more about that. I'd love to know more about that.
There was some sad moments around there during Raider week, man. You think somebody's puppy had died the way people walk around. It was you don't play around during that week. It was a siblings rivalry.
Right. Oh.
You talk about siblings rivalry. My older brother's a Raiders fan. So growing up, I remember my other brother was also a Chiefs fan. I remember one year he got a shirt that was a Chief pissing on a pirate with it was black and silver and everything. I remember my brother made my mom take that shirt back. I was a little kid, so I didn't really understand what was going on. He was like take that shirt back. That's disrespectful. So he ended up my mom ended up taking that shirt back for him.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you guys know the whole story with Lamar Hunt and with Al Davis. You know how those guys, that whole rivalry started with those two guys. So that's, it's pretty intense during Raider week, and we got to have it twice a year.
Yeah. We was kind of getting into a little bit of, I guess, some of the stories too. And I'm gonna tell my story. Marcus, I want to just tell a quick story about how it was when we got out there to Oakland in the Black Hole. And I was saying it's gonna be a little bit different going out there to Vegas. But I just remember when we went out there to in Oakland, we was the bus was driving about 5 miles away from the stadium. You see guys just mooning the bus. I mean, he out there just give me the middle finger all the way to the stadium. And so
right.
when you finally get to the stadium, I remember the Hells Angels, the bikes, motorcycles are just lined up right there on the fence. And it just seemed like they just go on forever. And so we pull into the stadium and, they throwing batteries and stuff at the bus. Well, we had to stop because there was an old man that was in a wheelchair. Guy was just pushing him across to get there. I remember old man was just sitting there, little, decrepit, just kind of sit down, look real broken up. And he passes the bus and he turns, he does like this and just flips us off. I'm like,
Hey, JD, I tell that story all the time.
Do you? Oh my God.
I tell it all the time.
Push his old ass out that chair.
No, but man, the guy had to be 80-something years old. 90 could have been, looked like the old the crypt keeper. Oh my God, man! It sure did, man.
Eddie, earlier we were talking about at what point did you realize how big of a rivalry it was, the Chiefs Raiders rivalry?
I mean, as soon as when it was Raider week, my first year there in 2001. I mean, it was intense, and even though I think I played 8 years up until the point I got to Kansas City in 2001, 8 or 9 years. And, the other teams that I played with, they really didn't have rivalries that felt like that. I mean, you think we're kidding. We had, the smell good things they put in the urinals. Those things were made out of Raider helmets or Raider deals. And when you go in the urinal, you would piss on them. And, it was that intense of a week. And it was crazy, man. So it was pretty awesome. We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
what was a bigger rivalry for you? I remember as a kid growing up, I remember there was one quote you had against the Broncos. It was I forgot what the context was, but you were saying, come Sunday, we're going to put something on their ass with in regards to the Broncos.
I mean, out of all of the things you go find, you know what? out of all of the millions of great things that has happened in the course of my career, you go find the one thing. But no, that was I meant every word of that when I said that, because if and when you know the story, or when you hear the story, you'll know why I was the way I was at that particular time in my career.
Right. And so would you say Broncos Chiefs or Raiders Chiefs was a bigger rivalry?
No, it's me against the Broncos. And then once my teammates heard the story of why I got to Kansas City and what Denver did, it was a different kind of a personal deal. But the rivalry between Chiefs and Raiders, that started way before any three of us ever got to the Chiefs. Like I said, that started with Lamar Hunt and Al Davis.
Right. Right. So, but is there, I guess, within, the historical aspect of it, would you say that, is there a different kind of tone at the building, the facilities, when it's Chiefs Broncos week? Or is it nowhere near Chiefs Raiders week?
It's nowhere near it. Nowhere near it. I mean, you, Marcus, you seem like a pretty intelligent guy, right?
Yes, sir.
And we're talking about Raider week. You didn't hear me say that there was a Broncos helmet in the pisser. No. You heard me say that there was a Raider deal. I mean, that's how intense it was. It was that, and we made sure that the organization and the Chiefs, and I'm sure the Raiders organization, made sure that it was a known rivalry, and it had been that way for a long time.
Yeah.
Right. We had a lot of people had came over from the Raiders that got into the building that would let us know the history of how they used to think about the Chiefs, but also too, they used to talk about how dark it was in the building, and you don't want to go and play over there, and everybody over there is miserable, and so you just kind of felt like being in Kansas City was like, it was really light against dark, right? It was good against versus evil. I mean, it's really like the Republic against Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So that's how it was, and crazy because they had guys dressed like Darth Vader out there at the game.
Now, looking back, what would you say on each of you guys in this one? What is your favorite Chiefs Raiders memory?
For me, it was my first pick six. That was against the Raiders and Jerry Rice, and that's me growing up as a Jerry Rice fan, for one. Two, was a part of obviously Raiders week, and I was thrown in, and I had become a starter at this time. And during practice, you'd always have moments to where you're gonna mess up. It's practice. That's what practice is for, to correct those mistakes. And so you mess up in practice, and instead of you getting like hey, let me what happened here? It was a full blown yelling, like throwing clipboards down, like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, do you not know this is Raiders week? So, and I was like, damn, I thought it was just practice. Like, I didn't understand the severity of it. I mean, I know you don't want us to make mistakes, and we're gonna make mistakes out here, but it was a little bitty mistake. And so it's like, nah, mistakes are multiplied during Raiders week. We don't want those. We want to correct all this now. And but going into that game, I knew what was at stake. And heck, first play of the game, they came my way against Jerry Rice, and that was pick six. So that was my historical moment.
JD?
Yeah, mine has to be, without a doubt, in Arrowhead Stadium, winning the game on the last play, where we had to go in and we was going to kick a field goal. And we had practiced this play pretty much the last couple of days. You usually put in like your short yardage package, and it came to fruition. It's crazy how they had it set up, because usually how we would do like the short yardage, it was kind of set certain plays. But we put this one play in where I was coming in motion, and it was where I was the lead blocker. T. Rich was behind me. Then we had a pulling guard. So you had actually three guys coming into the hole, but it helped me kind of navigate and see who I was blocking and see how they was going to play it. But I just remembered the energy down there. And here's one thing I'll tell you about Coach Vermeil. Coach Vermeil could not stand kickers. He just didn't trust them. He just could not stand kickers. He would always say if one of our kickers missed a field goal in practice, he's like, all you have to do is kick the ball. That's all you have to do. That's your one job. That's all you have to do. And so I remember Lawrence Tyler was going out, and he's like, no, get him off the field. Like, we're going for it, right? We're down there. We got the best offensive line in football, okay? We got Priest Holmes back there, Larry Johnson at this time. I mean, the stadium is going crazy. I mean, right there in the end zone. I mean, it is just loud. The energy is just going through you. You know, of course, man, look, Brian Waters, Willie Roaf, Will Shields, nobody turned around to come off the field, to be honest with you. Nobody, they weren't coming off the field. They ain't doing this. Look, we're going to win. We're going to win right now, right here, this play. And we ran that play, ran it to perfection, man, came in. It was madness. So that was my biggest memory with them. So, man, it was crazy that whole game.
Well, being Raiders Week, you know, I'm going to say something that absolutely sucked in Oakland, and we played in Green Bay. Me, Jason, and Ewar, we all played in Green Bay in December. It was cold. It was, -9. It was something crazy. But we went to Oakland one year. I don't remember where. I think it was maybe 04, 03 or 04, and it was raining.
Man.
And it was the coldest game that I'd ever played in my career. Ever. And it was pouring down rain. It was a night game. It was a Sunday night game. It was pouring down raining, and it was just the suckiest thing. It reminds me every time I even go, if I fly into Oakland, I put a coat on just to make sure that I don't get cold anymore. It was the worst, coldest game I've ever played in. And
how many times did Trent throw the ball that game? Maybe one or two?
Maybe once or twice. Our sideline, we were standing in a foot of water on our sideline. That's how hard it was raining. And then the rain, it was coming down like sideways because the wind, it was miserable. And, that's another reason, you think about the rivalry and the hate that the Chiefs have and vice versa, for the organization when we play each other, just because it sucked in Oakland that time that we played. And that sucked.
That's crazy as a wide receiver that you mentioned that game, because I played golf with Tim Brown this summer, and that's the first thing that Tim brought up. He says, man, one of the worst games ever was we played you guys and it rained. He said it was so cold. And he said on top of that, I was two receptions away from either 10,000 yards or some amount of receptions, and we didn't throw the ball any of that game. So I was so pissed off this game and so cold. Like he said, of all the games I played against you guys, that is by far the worst game ever.
That's it. That's it.
How bad were the conditions? I guess when people think of the Oakland facilities, there was the Oakland Coliseum. Was that the name of the?
Yeah.
Damn baseball field.
How bad was the away locker room and stuff? Because I've seen the press box, like pictures of the press box of the water leaking down, and like media members had to put cups underneath to collect the water because it's like it just comes down. How bad were the away facilities?
So Marcus, what does your high school gym look like, or your high school stadium looks like? Is it pretty decent? What do you think?
It's one of the bigger stadiums in Virginia. It's not bad. It's a nice facility.
Okay, all right. So yours is probably nice.
You got to understand, Marcus is young. He's mid-20s.
Okay.
He's into these new updated schools.
So think of the worst locker room if you've ever been in, Marcus. Think of the worst locker room that you've been in, and you don't have to say the school or anything, but think of the worst locker room. Oakland Coliseum was probably 100 times worse than that.
Wow.
It was
bad. Small locker room too.
Yeah. Oh man, I think matter of fact, one year it might have been that game when we beat them out there one year. The water was cold. Man, they ain't giving no hot water
for the shower.
Yeah, for the shower. I'm like, man, this is so.
A lot of shower pills taken that day.
Oh no, I know it's plenty, man. You better not get on there play with no shower pill out there. You gotta hit yourself just a little bit. Just, you know.
So you said that was the worst locker room facilities in the entire league that you guys had played in? Was the Raiders? Everyone known thing the Raiders was the worst.
I think that I had been in, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I played. Remember, I came from Philly. Philly was the hellhole. The Veteran Stadium, horrible.
Yeah, I don't remember Philly. I know we played that. I just don't remember it.
You remember Philly? Yeah, man. You know they used to have the jail at Philly too.
Damn.
In the bottom, yeah. See, that's why I think like the Raiders. I think the Raiders took part of Alcatraz and brought it over into the stadium. You know? For real, it was that bad, man. It was a horrible place. Yeah.
Wow.
Wow. Okay, so moving on to I guess going back to this weekend's game. What are your predictions for the game? I know that we on the show we joke about the line and the betting lines for this game. It was that the Chiefs were favored by 7 points, but they've since taken off you can't bet on it right now because the Raiders have like 10 guys. Their whole starting defense is on the COVID restriction list right now, which could change. But right now it's taken off. But what is your prediction? And do you think that the whole bus gate will be play a factor in this outcome on Sunday?
I think we at least get 30 points. Heck, I think that just seems to be our average of what we're putting up on everybody's team. So we at least get 30. I think with what we've learned from the first game against the Raiders, our defense will come out and play well enough to hold them down to 24. So 30-24 is for me.
Due to the fact that John Gruden had the buses lap Arrowhead Stadium in a victory lap, I say it'll be 48-14 Chiefs.
Wow.
Ooh. Yeah, I see probably 35-21 is what I see. I think at a certain point, you know, it's going to be no mas, right? No mas. So and Andy will have a little bit of you know, some love for him. Take the dogs off a little bit, but not before he scores 35 though. That's gonna be it. He said, "Look, I ain't pulling dogs up till we get 35 on this go." All right.
You want to take a victory lap with the bus driver around my stadium? I'm trying to put up triple digits.
Good Lord.
Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
Wow. They say he's going for 100.
What I think was funny about the whole the victory laps was when they asked Gruden about it. Jason, you alluded to it earlier, was that like Gruden wasn't taking any responsibility behind it. He was throwing ironically, he was throwing the bus driver under the bus. He was saying the bus driver was being a smart aleck saying comments, so that's why he made him drive around the stadium, which I thought was kind of weird in general. Is not owning it.
Bus driver's not gonna make laps without his permission.
Right.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And I have a hard time believing that the bus driver would say anything like that to a head coach and a team.
Yeah.
You know, when you drive them, you know, you got to drive them back to the airport. So that was all on them. Hey, let's take another lap around here. What do you think, guys? Yeah, let's go ahead. Yeah. I know what it was. We know what it was for real. And that's why you try to be a little tongue in cheek, like, that's a silly question. Next question, move. He just want to get past it, man. No, you're going to own this one. He's going to own this one. I'm trying to tell you. Hey, he's going to own this one this week. Right. He knows it's on his shoulders. That's his fault.
Oh, man.
So regardless of the Raiders win or lose this week, I know Willie said last week that he thinks the Raiders are probably a team that we don't want to see in the playoffs. Do you guys think that the Raiders make the playoffs? Regardless, I mean, obviously we're talking week 11 right here. We got time, but you think it's a team?
I mean, as I said earlier, I think they're a well-balanced team, like because they have a good running back. I think he's a top 5 in yardage and carries for the NFL so far. And with him running the way he's running, it's made things a lot easier for Carr. And he's got a young core of receivers that have been performing and producing. So it's just a matter of, you know, for one, shutting down their running game, and then letting the rest of it come out and play. But if we can't stop their running game and Jacobs coming downhill the way he did the first game, And yeah, we're gonna have problems.
I think they got good pieces on offense, no doubt about it. Like you said, I think they have a decent team. The defense is, like I said, kind of about 20th in the league. They'll make the playoffs. I think they'll definitely make the playoffs. But as far as I think they'll get in probably wild card or something. But other than making a lot of noise past that, I don't quite see it. It's just the AFC right now to me is just it's really competitive. And what I see from Kansas City being the best team, I think, in the league, for what we have. The Raiders, they're gonna give us a visit. It's always hard to play a team 3 times in a year. That's always hard because you just know what the guy's gonna do, what the tendencies are. So it's tough. But I don't think we'll see with the Raiders, though. To be honest with you, I don't.
Well said. I agree with both Ewar and JD. So yeah, I agree with both of those guys.
Awesome. All right, so now we're going to get to the final segment before we end the show. It's the Chiefs Kingdom Concern segment, where I look at all the Chiefs Kingdom hot takes and get each of you to respond to one. Eddie, I'd love your input on this as well. I would have had one for you if I had known you were going to be on the show today, but you feel free to respond to either one of these. Eric, the first Chiefs Kingdom Concerns for you, which comes from @15KC fan. He tweeted, Chiefs got Snead, Baker, Fenton, and Ward all 24 years or younger without using a day 1 or day 2 pick. Brett Veach is really the GOAT. What's your response to that?
I mean, he's picked up some good pieces to go with a decent front seven. And I think Chris Jones and Frank Clark are helping us tremendously with the pressure that they're adding. So it doesn't put as much pressure on our secondary. And you having Tyrann Mathieu with his playmaking ability, it also helps with those younger guys either actually getting to know the game and understand it and to know what kind of help that they have in a player as himself. So I think that with those picks, not having to be high draft picks, you can put talent out there that will gradually, find its way. And so far, we've done that with our secondary because we don't have those top picks with that Veach was. Well, I guess what other teams have pulled out that we haven't got, but yet these guys have still come out and they played well. They made great plays for us. So yes, he's done a tremendous job of doing that. But of all the things we've had, I mean, his best pick to me was Patrick. So,
Eddie, do you have a comment on that? On the breaches, Brett Veach finding these gems?
Well, I mean, that's what they do. Brett, Andy, and the rest of the scouting department. Those guys, they have a knack and a nose for going get guys that a lot of people don't look at, and that's a testament to who they are as great coaches, GMs, and scouts. So kudos to those guys.
Yeah, and as a fan, this season alone, going out and getting Le'Veon Bell, and then going out and taking a flyer on DeAndre Baker. In past years, as fans, you say, okay, we have a need here, let's go get it. And now we finally have a GM who's like just jumping on that and going to get these guys, which I think is just awesome. It's like it's like seeing like a fantasy football, like a man just going out and getting the best guys available, which is just it's cool to see.
I mean, but the one thing about it, right? Even with these picks, I wouldn't say with these picks that we have now, as far as the secondary guys. I mean, Le'Veon and Baker really haven't done anything for us just yet. Yeah, Le'Veon's a big name. You know what he can do as a player. Has he been the Le'Veon of old? Not yet. So we're right now still hoping that he can become somewhat of what he used to be.
Getting old, you are. He getting old, bro.
That's what I'm saying. So it's a sexy pick, but right now you don't know what you have right now because he hasn't produced what he's done in the past, and so It's not a. I mean, I don't know if I want to call it a knock on him because he hasn't had time to know the playbook, and then knowing that team, especially with the Jets, we're going to key on him since that was his previous team, so he probably wasn't going to be as productive. So I don't know. That might have been the situation with him right now. But as of now, I say the Baker and the Le'Veon pick, obviously Baker won't be able to do anything. But the Le'Veon Bell pick hasn't been what we thought it would be, even though we know what we do have. Like Jason said in the garage, like he is a sexy pick to have.
Right.
It just hasn't fruition yet.
That's because they got that young beast from that LSU, that Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
But
That's
that young beast of LSU, his production during the Raiders week is what caused us to go get Le'Veon.
Man, that's baloney.
said that week he went from a tiger to a kitten.
He went from a tiger to a cub.
No, I ain't gonna hate on, but you know what it is though. I mean, you look at that, it's almost like LeBron them did. They got J.R. Smith. You didn't really need him, right? You just pad it up, bring it down in, right? Just in case we need him, just to scare the opponents. Like, oh, you see who they got? You just want them to look. Oh man, who they get this week? That's all you want them to do. Look, we keep stacking our chips. Keep stacking our chips. Just being ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like that, even in the Cavaliers days, he was getting, James Jones, all his jump shooters were going there, taking the small contracts to go there and play around him. Whether they're going to get a lot of playing time or not, it's just there to have, just in case, they're needed. But no, Eddie, you said something interesting. You said that Le'Veon's getting old, right? And I know that, like, some of the arguments have been said that, he's 30, or I think he's 30 or 29, but he didn't play that 1 year. So, he's got 1 year more than what his actual age shows, right? Or when it comes to, playing football, as you get older, are you still getting older even though you had that 1 year without touches? It's like.
Absolutely.
Oh,
yes. Oh, yeah, no question. Oh, yeah, that body, time, gravity, all of that, it takes precedent over whatever years or 9 years you think you have in the National Football League. It takes him longer to recover every year that he's in the league and every year that he gets older.
That's fair, because you always see from the fans' point of view, everyone's like, that's there's less mileage on him. It's not like every year he wasn't running the ground that 1 year, so that's 1 year more he has. So but
man, I'm 47 years old and I hadn't played football in 14 years. My back is on fire right now, and I ain't touched the football in I don't know how long.
Amen.
So you just be sitting there, you'd be like, ow. Like,
yeah.
That was a hit from Al Wilson in 2005.
Right.
All right, Jason, our next Chiefs Kingdom concerns for you. It's from actually Jerry McDonald. So he tweeted this week. So after ripping off the Raiders' heads and crapping down the throats for how many years at Arrowhead, the Chiefs are upset because the Raiders actually enjoy winning for once. Good teams don't need artificial means of getting pumped up, and the Chiefs are a good team. Jason, what's your response to that tweet?
You know what? You're right. Teams don't really need an artificial reason to get pumped up, but I don't look at this as being artificial at all, right? Like I said, this is almost like somebody coming in and wiping their feet on the rug before they come into your house. Somebody just walks in your door, just opens up the refrigerator. I mean, I don't think that's manufactured anger. You'd be like, man, what are you doing? What's going on? Where you think you at right now? Yeah. So when they came in and they did that, that was disrespectful, right? They don't need any more something that's artificial. Artificial would be like, hey, guess what? When they left here, I heard they said something. No, we got evidence that y'all jokers decided to waste gas that we was paying for to drive around our stadium. I'm pissed off, right? I got to be pissed. So it's not artificial at all. So, like I said before, John Gruden is going to have, he's going to wake up a couple times out of his sleep watching Mahomes throw a couple touchdowns. I know a joker's waking up. It's all.
Be like DJ Khaled, another one.
He second guessed what he did. So it ain't artificial anger. It's not. Look, they had no business doing it, and you got to pay for it. So hey, let the games begin. Pure and simple.
Yep.
Eddie.
Oh, I mean, I said it earlier before that question was even brought up. You want to do a victory lap, 48-14, and if I get the opportunity, I'm putting triple digits. There's no question. It's not artificial, and the Chiefs organization won't show it. They won't retaliate with social media and all of those things. wait till this weekend.
You show it on the field.
That's it.
Now, what was your if you guys could remember, what was your kind of your biggest blowout game that you guys had against the Raiders, if you guys remember?
Yeah, I don't really recall a big blowout, man.
Like I said, man, it always seemed like it was just tight. You know, you always that week was always one of those that it never really got away from you. And when you thought it was, then it was always like the Undertaker would come up, rise up again, like, oh shoot, here these jokers come again. Because it's just a lot of it's pride. It's pride. It's prideful in its play. Like you said, it's a rivalry. I don't care if you walk down the street, I throw a rock, you throw a stick, you know, and it's going to be like that constantly. But I don't remember any blowouts, none, zero.
Jason, I'm trying to figure out where you're getting these analogies from. Coming in the house and wiping your feet on the rug, and you throw a rock, I throw a stick. You open the refrigerator. Which I'm just trying to figure out. Is that what the University of Kentucky? That's what y'all do?
Hey man,
you sound like Shannon Sharp.
Hey, this will be. Hey, I grew up in the country in Kentucky. This is what we do. It's how we speak. That's how we talk, right? It's the one I hadn't said yonder yet. Yonder and, you know, up there and all. So I'm just back home in my roots, E. That's all it is, baby.
That's it.
That's it, man. I love it.
All right, guys. Well, that does it. We'll see you next week where we discuss the Raiders game and get into the upcoming Buccaneers game. And of course, we'll discuss some of our Thanksgiving sides. I think it's, holiday season. Got to get into that as well. If anyone at Chiefs Kingdom has any Chief concerns for these two, tweet at us at @ConcernsChief, and please subscribe and follow Chief Concerns on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Eddie, it was great having you, man, dropping by. I loved it, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you,
EK. Yes, love, baby.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. JD, E-War, man, it's good to see y'all brothers, man. I miss y'all. I love y'all brothers, man. And shucks, I can't wait till all of this stuff is over, man, where we can get back together in Arrowhead and have a good old time.
No doubt, man. I love you too, man. Tell the family hello, for me too, man. So absolutely, man. So it's a joy, man. It warms my heart to see you, man. E too, and all of them, man. This is just a great thing, man. Great feeling, man, to catch up with guys. So
y'all stay blessed, man.
All righty. Thank you, Mark.
Eddie, it was an honor to meet you, man, and talk to you.
Okay, same here, brother.
See you guys.